please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, today we're going to be looking at the 2009 NHL Draft and redrafting the top 10 picks from that year. Basically what I do in these videos, and I haven't done one in a while, is go through the top 10 picks, talk about who was drafted and then who should have been drafted with that selection, in my opinion. So before we get into it and begin, I just ask that you please subscribe if you are new. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet. Both of those things really help out a lot and are very, very much appreciated. But let's get right into it here. 2009 NHL Draft. First overall selection belonged to the New York Islanders, and with that pick, they took center John Tavares. Now, obviously, John Tavares has gone on to become a superstar player in this game. 814 games played, 345 career goals, 424 career assists, 769 points, and a -30 rating. Now plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Tavares has become a spectacular center and a great player for many, many years now, over a decade now in the NHL. However, I would change that pick. I would not, looking back, John Tavares is not the best player to come out of the 2009 NHL Draft. The best player to come out of the 2009 NHL Draft and who should have gone at number 1 overall is Victor Hedman, defenseman who went 2nd overall to the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's played 762 games in the NHL, scoring 105 goals, 368 assists for 473 points as a defenseman and a +116 career rating. And I believe that Victor Hedman right now is the best defenseman in the NHL. I've been saying that for a couple of years now. He is the best all-around defenseman in the NHL. Victor Hedman, I believe, should have gone number 1 overall in that draft, looking back now. And the biggest reason for that, and the reason I have him drafted over Tavares, is because Victor Hedman is the best player at his position in the league. John Tavares is not the best center in the league in the NHL right now. Obviously, there are players ahead of him. McKinnon, McDavid. You know, there are better centers out there than Tavares. Tavares is a great player, don't get me wrong, but he's not the best at his position. Victor Hedman, I truly believe, is the best defenseman in the NHL right now. So I would switch those two and have Victor Hedman taken 1 overall. So that brings us to pick number 2, which belonged to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, as I just said, originally was Victor Hedman, and we know what a spectacular career he has had. If Hedman were to go number 1 overall, as he did in my redraft, then John Tavares goes number 2. We just flip-flop the two. Tavares certainly is deserving of being a top 3 pick, and I think is the second best player to come out of that draft. So he goes to number 2 to Tampa Bay. And boy, would that have drastically changed history had those two actually flip-flopped. That brings us to pick number 3, which was originally Matt Duchene, who's a center, went to the Colorado Avalanche, and has gone on to play 793 games in the NHL, scoring 245 goals, 344 assists, for 589 career points and a -90 rating. Duchene's had some really good years. Duchene's also had some not-so-good years. And while he's been a good player and a good point producer, he hasn't really won much at the NHL level. He's been on a lot of lousy teams, and overall he hasn't won a whole lot. So who would I have picked at number 3 overall? Center Ryan O'Reilly, who also went to Colorado, but 33rd overall in the 2nd round. They got both Duchene and O'Reilly out of this draft. They should have taken O'Reilly first, because Ryan O'Reilly has gone on to have a phenomenal NHL career, playing 804 games, scoring 195 goals, 365 assists for 560 career points, a -20 rating. He's won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues. He's won a Selke Trophy with the St. Louis Blues. He's won a Conn Smythe Trophy with the St. Louis Blues, where he plays now. O'Reilly has become one of the top centers in the NHL, whereas Matt Duchene is coming off a horrendous season with the Nashville Predators. And overall, I just think O'Reilly is the better overall player. O'Reilly's won more at the NHL level, and he should have gone instead at number 3. And if it wasn't for those horrible years in Buffalo, I think you'd be talking about O'Reilly being one of the top centers in the league. Number 4 now, which belonged to the Atlanta Thrashers, and they took left wing Evander Kane with that number 4 overall pick in 2009. And Evander Kane has gone on to have a very good, solid NHL career as a top 6 winger, playing 713 games played, scoring 242 goals, 215 assists for 457 career points and a -66 rating. And Kane's been good, but not top 5 good. There are other players that I think should have gone ahead of him, and who should have gone at number 4 overall to the Atlanta Thrashers was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who originally went 6 overall to the Phoenix Coyotes. He's a very good offensive defenseman who's played 723 games in the NHL, scoring 125 goals, 239 assists, 364 career points, and a -92 rating. He spent a lot of his career on a very bad Coyotes team. However, Ekman-Larsson is a legitimate top pair defenseman and a guy who, the Thrashers / Jets in that time, the late 2000s, early 2010s, were desperate for defensive help. And Ekman-Larsson really could have changed the game there. And I think he overall has had a better career than Evander Kane and is a little bit higher up on the totem pole than Kane. And I think Ekman-Larsson should have gone at number 4 overall. At number 5, the Los Angeles Kings selected center Brayden Schenn, who has gone on to play 658 games in the NHL, scoring 179 goals, 251 assists for 430 career points and a -16 rating. He is also now with the St. Louis Blues, also played for the Philadelphia Flyers, Stanley Cup winner, and has put together a very, very good NHL career. So, who should have gone at number 5 overall? I'm keeping that pick the same. Brayden Schenn at 5 overall, I would definitely be more than okay with that pick there. He's gone on to become a legitimate top 6 center, a Stanley Cup winner, someone who plays the game with physicality as well as a lot of skill and scoring ability as well. I am a big, big fan of Brayden Schenn, and I'm fine with him at the number 5 pick. Moving on now to number 6. Originally, it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who we've already talked about, defenseman who went to the Phoenix Coyotes. However, in this redraft, Ekman-Larsson is off the board at number 4. So who should Phoenix have taken at number 6? Matt Duchene, who originally went 3rd overall to Colorado. I think number 6 would have been a much better spot for Matt Duchene. We've talked about his numbers. He's been a prolific scorer. He's had some really, really good seasons, but he really hasn't won much. Again, I don't have him as a top 5 pick, but I think number 6 would be a good spot for Duchene to go. And he still has career ahead of him. Maybe he can change my perspective on him, but I think Duchene to Phoenix at number 6 would have been a much better draft position for him than number 3, and that's where I have him going here. So that brings us to number 7. The number 7 overall pick belonged to the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2009, and they took another center. This was a huge year for centers, Nazem Kadri, who has gone on to play 612 games played, scoring 180 goals, 213 assists, 393 career points and a -20 rating. He's been a very good two-way center for Toronto and now in Colorado. He's had a very, very solid NHL career. However, I don't have him going number 7 overall. I think number 7 in this redraft should have been Evander Kane, who originally went number 4 overall to the Thrashers. He drops to number 7, the left winger. We've talked about his numbers, 242 career goals, almost 500 career points. I have Kane going number 7 overall to Toronto in this redraft. And that moves us on to number 8, which was the first real horrible selection of this draft. All of these guys that have been picked so far, I've switched them around as far as, what order they were picked in, but they're still all solid NHL players. Pick number 8 belonged to the Dallas Stars, and they took right wing Scott Glennie. And this is the first terrible pick of this draft. Glennie went on to play one career game in the NHL with no goals, no assists, no points, no nothing, and never made it as an NHL player. So, who should have gone to Dallas at number 8? Well, Nazem Kadri. I have him dropping one spot, and the center, who was originally taken 7th overall by Toronto, I think should have gone number 8 to Dallas. And obviously, we talked about what he's done. Over 600 games played, almost 400 career points. Kadri would have been a very, very solid selection for the Dallas Stars at number 8, and certainly would have worked out a lot better than Scott Glennie did. That brings us to pick number 9, which belonged to the Ottawa Senators. And with that pick, they took defenseman Jared Cowan. Now, Jared Cowan did play in the NHL, but did not last very long in Ottawa, playing just 249 games, scoring 15 goals, 31 assists for 46 points and a -7 rating. The offense never came for Cowan. And he was, after a few years in Ottawa, he was pretty quickly out of the league, and never was able to get himself back into the NHL. So obviously that's not good for a top 10 pick, and they clearly picked the wrong defenseman there at number 9. So who should have gone at number 9? Ryan Ellis, another defenseman who originally went 11th overall to the Nashville Predators. He's gone on to have a spectacular career with the Nashville Predators. He's now Roman Yossi's D partner and running mate on the top pair there in Nashville. He's played 527 games, scoring 70 goals, 182 assists for 252 career points, and a plus 113 career rating. He's one of the most underrated two-way defensemen in the NHL, and obviously continues to have a spectacular career with Nashville. He should have gone to Ottawa at number 9, and boy, what a difference that could have made had they taken Ryan Ellis at number 9 and had him to go along with Erik Karlsson in Ottawa. That would have reshaped Ottawa's defense for sure through the 2010s, as Cowan just never really made it and quickly fizzled out. That brings us to the final pick number 10, which belonged to the Edmonton Oilers. And with that pick, they took left wing Magnus Paajarvi, who did play in the NHL but was never more than a third-line player. And while he played almost 500 career games, 467 to be exact, he only scored 62 goals and 62 assists for 124 points and had a -54 rating in the NHL between Edmonton and St. Louis, and then a little bit with Ottawa at the end. Never made it as a top 10 pick, never lived up to that draft status, and overall was not a good selection there. So, who should have gone at number 10 overall? Well, they could have had a left wing, and they could have had Chris Kreider, who originally went 19th overall to the New York Rangers. I think Kreider should have gone at number 10. He's played 523 games in the NHL, scoring 157 goals, 159 assists for 316 career points, and a +68 rating. He has gone on to become a very solid top 6 winger for the New York Rangers, and continues to be to this day, as he is a very, very solid goal scorer who can give you 30 goals on any given season. So Kreider has certainly been a lot better than Magnus Paajarvi was in the NHL, and should have gone at number 10. So those are my redraft. There's my redraft for the top 10 picks. Some honorable mentions who I think were very close to being top 10 pick worthy are goaltender Darcy Kemper. Probably would have had him at number 11. Winger Kyle Palmieri. He's had a very good career, pretty similar to Chris Kreider. I have Kreider slightly ahead of Palmieri, but very good player as well. And winger Jakob Silfverberg, who I think is very similar to Palmieri and Kreider as well. As far as, just point totals and production goes. But Kreider, I think, is the best out of those three. But those Kemper, Palmieri, and Silfverberg probably I would have picked at 11, 12, and 13. So they were very close to being in the top 10. But that is my redrafted top 10. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.